I'm Brandon. Welcome to my channel, Books in the Shire. So I'm starting a series on my channel that is going to be focused on me completing book series. I'm going to call it Shall We Finish the Series? Because I have a problem with reading the first book in a series and then not continuing. So the first series is going to be the Lunar Chronicles. I tried to set it up kind of nice. My book fell down, but whatever. But yeah, the first series I'm going to be trying to finish is the Lunar Chronicles. I've read the first two books, Cinder and Scarlet, and I really enjoyed them. I gave, I think, Cinder 4.5 stars and Scarlet 4 stars, so it's a really good series. I'm really vibing. For the Lunar Chronicles, I still need to read 4 books. Cress and Winter are the 2 main novels that I still need to read, and then I need to read Stars Above and Fairest, which are 2 novella short story collections within the world. So my primary focus is going to be reading them in order. I'm going to be doing this vlog style where, you know, I'll keep you updated on the book I'm reading and yeah, just basically trying to crank out these books. So like I said, I'm currently reading Cress. I'm on page 126, chapter 14. I'm really enjoying this so far. This one is having a bit of a slow start, but I'm not completely minding that because it's the 3rd book. I think it's allowed. You don't need to be like go, go, go all the time. Because the characters are established, I don't think there needs to be a big like introductory plot or anything. We know who most of the characters are. I'm really intrigued to see where this book goes because from the first 100 pages, I'm already liking it. I kind of have a sense of where it's going to go. It's kind of hard when you're talking about a series to not talk about spoilers. So yeah, I will try my best, but I'll let you know if I'm going to say spoilers. Basically, they're trying to pick up Cress right now, and it didn't go as planned because Cress's mistress had shown up at the ship right before Cinder and the team were about to get there. So I like that it kind of took a different route. Instead of them easily being able to come together, they've all been separated. So I'm intrigued to see where that goes. So I've read a bit more of Cress. I'm currently on page 351 now. I think I read over 100 pages or about 100 pages so far today. And I really don't know how I feel about this book. Like, I don't know if I'm just reading it at a bad time or like I genuinely am just a little bored. Like, I don't know, because I love when characters and groups get separated in books or like TV or anything. I really like that because it gives you a lot of time to get to know characters better and understand their dynamics with other characters. So I was really looking forward to like the separation of the group in this, but I don't know, I'm just like not enjoying it because, okay, so this book, as the name implies, focuses more on Cress. But honestly, that plot line was so boring to me when her and Thorn get like separated from the group. It was really interesting at first, but then it just kept going on and on. Like they were just trekking through a desert and I'm just like, I was bored. I was so bored. I feel bad. Now most of the group is back together again and I don't know, like they just got back together, so I haven't read much of it yet, but I'm just like not intrigued by it. You find out Cress is Dr. Erlen's daughter and I don't know how I feel about that plot. Like, I'm not totally against it, but I don't love it. That's probably what I'm going to say for this entire book. I don't know. I was really looking forward to reading it. I was enjoying the beginning, but then it just like maybe 70 pages in or something, it just like hit a lull and I've been in there since and I'm on page 351, so it's like for practically 300 pages I've been like, yeah, so what's happening? Most interesting chapters are when they're focusing on Prince Kai and like him trying to figure out Cinder's like why Cinder ran away, and also to like him trying to deal with Queen Lavanna and like the wedding. That's the most interesting stuff because there's like stakes in it, but everything else is just the group being like, we're just, you know, doing stuff, but like not actually. We're just standing around talking. Last night I finished Fairest. I really loved this. I gave it 5 stars. Like, I just thought it was so well done. I loved how condensed it was and how, like, not quick, because it didn't feel quick or like fast or rushed. It was just like well paced. Like, everything that was being told was like in the proper place. That she spent the right amount of time explaining it and talking about it. Like, I don't know, this was just really good. I really enjoyed it. I loved like hearing about Lavana's backstory, and I love that she's just a bad person. She's like one of those people who think they're good people, but they're actually really bad. And that's what I liked about it, because she was like in her head like, oh, that's probably not a good thing to do, but then she does it anyways because she doesn't give two shits. Like, I like that about it. Also too, I was intrigued because like we know Winter is her stepdaughter, and then like you get more backstory in this, but I was also like, but wait, she doesn't have a husband in like the main series, and she's trying to marry Prince Kai. So I was like, what happened to her husband? And there was like 20 pages left, and I'm like, what's gonna happen to her husband? Like, he's still there, he's still happening. Girlie, she freaking hired an assassin, and then she killed the assassin because she's a bad bitch. I don't like Lavana. She's a bad like, she's a bad person, not a bad character. But she's such a good character that I like her, you know? I'm 250 pages into Winter, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's definitely been a slow start, but I don't mind that. I think that the slow start has a purpose. I feel like I say that about each book in this series that I've read so far, is that it has a slow start. It's a big book. It's like 800 pages, and like, your girly has never read that much, so yeah, I really like that this focuses more on Winter, hence the name, because I like her character so far. I like the brief pieces that we saw of her in previous books, so I'm excited to get to know more about her and her story and see how like it plays out. But I'm like really excited for, you know, the finale, because this is the final book in the series. I'm excited to see how everything, you know, happens, how the team does stuff. I kind of have a feeling this is a spoiler. Well, it's not. It's my thoughts, because it hasn't happened, but I think it's gonna happen. I think Jason might die, so that sucks for Jason, but I don't actually know if he's gonna die or not, so we'll see. Yeah, I think I'm gonna read a bit more today, trying to get to page 300 at least. So that's just 50 more pages, but yeah, don't have much thoughts so far beyond that. I forgot to give another update, but I started Stars Above probably like a month ago. I think there's some footage in here so far. Don't totally remember though. But I started it because I wasn't ready to start winter because it was an 800-page book. And there's only one story in this one that is the whatever post-winter. Basically everything else is pre-winter. So that's why I started it. I've read the first two. I have my little thingy that tells me, but I've read The Keeper and Glitches, which are both prequels to Cinder, and I enjoyed them. I think Glitches was a bit better. Oh yeah, now I remember them. I completely forgot what they were about because it's been a little while. But for The Keeper, it's basically about Michel Benoit and I think his name is Garen, the guy that she, like the lunar guy that she meets and has a kid with. But it's about him bringing Cinder to Michel Benoit's farm. Yeah, so that one was pretty decent. I didn't really care for it all that much because Scarlett's not really one of my favorite characters. Her book wasn't my favorite. And like, I feel like there was no need for that story because it's already been explained in other books, not in so much detail, but we basically knew what it was all about, so I don't know, it kind of felt useless. But then the next one, what's it called? Glitches. That one is about Cinder going with, I don't remember his name, but like her new stepfamily. It's about her stepfather bringing her to her new stepfamily and like right away like the stepmom disliking her and everything, and then just her trying to like adapt to this family, but then it's the death of her stepfather, so, and how that kind of spiraled into the dislike for Cinder from most of the family. So I thought that one was pretty decent. It was nice to get a little bit more backstory on Cinder's dad, because you don't know too much about him. You know that he's a scientist, but you don't know that he's kind of like a weird dude, which I find interesting because I don't understand why the wife married him then, because she's very like pretentious. So I don't know, make sense. Sorry if the lighting is bad and if it's echoey. I don't have anywhere else to film, so I'm filming in my room. I got home from work about an hour ago and I'm freaking exhausted, but I haven't updated on Winter in a while, so I thought I would do. Currently reading Winter. I'm on page 574. I have a bit over 200 pages left. Like, I'm pretty far in. And like everything's starting to build up now. It's like we're getting to the climax where it's like shit's about to go down. So one thing that kind of has been going on throughout the whole book, but I kind of just put the pieces together right now. But the groups are like, the group is separated right now. And they had kind of been separated throughout the book, but then they like got together and then separated again. And I do like that the group is separated, but I feel like at this point, it's a bit overdone in this series. I feel like, you know, it's the fourth and final book, and in every single book, minus the first one, the group has been separated. Like, in Scarlet, it kind of makes sense that they're separated because Cinder is looking for Scarlet while Scarlet is looking for her grandma. And so they haven't met each other yet, so it makes sense that they're like not in a group, but I'm still gonna kind of count it in this because they were separated, because we already know that they're gonna be a group, so it's like they are separated. And then obviously in Cress, that's like a major plot point, is that Cress and Thorn are separated from the group because, you know, you got to build Cress and Thorn's relationship, and you have to build Cress as a character. So they were separate for a lot of time. And then also too, Scarlet was separated from them for a majority of the book, if not all of the book, basically, because she was kidnapped by the Lunars. So it's like, I do like that they're separated. I do like that trope in books, but the fact that this is the third book that it's happened so far, it's a bit tedious. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still really enjoying the book, and I think it's probably going to be a 4 stars. I'm really enjoying it, but like, you know, the more I think about it, it's like, why is that like the consistent, I guess, storyline? I'm enjoying this a lot more than I liked Cress, which is good. Finally, we're getting into like the nitty gritty. Like everything is, you know, it's the culmination of everything. So it's all happening. And I do really like that. I like the build up. I've been liking the storyline so far. There are definitely slow moments in this book. And I mean, granted, it's almost 800 pages. So I can understand why there's slow moments, but it's not bothering me as much in this book as it did in Cress. And I don't know why in Cress I wasn't like enjoying it as much. I think it might have just been that, I don't know, Cress just wasn't my favorite character. It's not that she's a bad character, she was just kind of boring. And I had high hopes. I was really intrigued, you know, because she's like alone in the satellite working for Levana, doing all of this stuff, even though she wants to be a good person. I liked that like story element. But then once she got with the group, I feel like, I don't know if it's just that like her shyness wasn't portrayed well, or if it was just too much like inner monologue for me. I couldn't tell you because honestly I don't remember. But it just felt like off to me, like something wasn't clicking, and I don't know what it was. But I wish I had seen more of that, where in Winter it's like you don't get much of Cress. It's really divvied up between all of our main characters, which is really nice. But I really like Winter. I think she's an interesting character because I like how kind of cuckoo she is, you know? Like, she just says random shit because of, what's it called? I don't know. Because she doesn't use, like, her brain thing. Oh my god. She doesn't use like her mind control powers and whatnot. So like in the series that makes you crazy. So I do like that element of her character, and I just think that like there's moments where you can see how, you know, being Levana's stepdaughter has impacted her. And I think the primary thing obviously is that she doesn't use her lunar gift. She chooses not to use it, knowing that it'll make her go crazy. But I think she sees that as a better option than, you know, using it to control people and let other people manipulate her. So I think that's like really interesting. I do enjoy that about her character. And I'm listening to the audiobooks when I'm reading these, so like I follow along physically and listen audibly. But I really love the narrator's voice for Winter. It's very like soft and sweet and kind of like high pitched. And I don't know, it's so fitting. And I especially love it when she does have her, you know, kooky moments where she'll like start randomly singing or something. I just really like the way the narrator does it. I really feel like in the character. I feel like I'm in that moment with Winter, like being a bystander, being like, what's happening right now? It's really immersive. Excuse my wet hair, I just got out of the shower. But last night I finished Winter. I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed it a lot, but I think it's just way too long. I guess that's like a running theme for every book I read. I just think it's too long. And I think with these books, like it's not that they're not well written, they are well written. It's just that I feel like there's like a lot of fluff sometimes, which to me is unnecessary. I know some people like that, but I think for me as a reader, I don't really like it just because I am straightforward and matter of fact. So for me, that's something that kind of took me out of it every once in a while. Not that that was like bad or anything. This one, I think that was like a running theme. The way I felt with Cress was I was like, this was just kind of pointless a lot of the time. And while this one felt that way too, I enjoyed it better than Cress, or more than Cress. I felt like I don't know, the parts that were unnecessary in my mind, I was more okay with them in this because I enjoyed it more. I don't really know how to explain it. And also too, it's like I wish that the final like battle had been a bit longer. I think it was pretty long, but I don't know, for me, I felt like something was missing. Like I needed one more element and then I would have been satisfied. Not that it was not satisfying, I just wanted one more thing. I don't really know. And I think I've talked about this in another update, but I'll mention again in case I didn't. But I don't like how this whole series relies on the separated group trope. I love that trope a lot. But the fact that three out of the four main books in the series, it uses that trope, it's just kind of like overdone at that point, and it doesn't feel significant or important anymore. I think this was a good ending to the series, but I do wish that the last, like, after Cinder had become, I guess, Queen of Artemisia, I kind of wish that there was just a bit more kind of reflection on what she does afterwards. I personally, for me, in fantasies at least, I like it when there's like a prologue and it's like years later and it kind of tells you how what they've done in the series is like beneficial to society and whatnot. I like that a lot. So I kind of wish that they had done that in this. I'm assuming that's going to be a story in Stars Above because one of the stories is a winter sequel. Like it happens after the events of this book. And I don't know if it follows Winter or if it follows other characters. I don't know yet. But that brings me to my next update of I'm reading Stars Above now. Oh my gosh. It's early in the morning. It's like 7 a.m. I don't know why I'm filming this so earlier. I just had the energy. But I'm reading Stars Above right now. I just read the third short story in this, which is called The Queen's Army. It's centered around Wolf and him being conscripted into the army and him going through like the wolf alterations and becoming an alpha. And it was like a fine story. Like I don't really have anything bad to say about it other than it doesn't seem like it's pointless to me. Hi friends, long time no see. I haven't updated this particular vlog in a while because I have not read in like at least a month, I would say. It's currently August 1st, but trying to read Stars Above so I can finish this, the Lunar Chronicles Shall We Finish series video. I really like the idea of like having a whole vlog dedicated to trying to finish a series, but I'm so bad at it. Like it takes me forever to get through series and I just like don't know. I don't focus. Like I can't focus for that long. Even if I'm like really into a series, I usually don't like go from book to book to book in it. I usually jump around and read other books and then come back. So this has definitely been a challenge for me, but I think I'm gonna stick with it like for future series. Like I want to do one for An Ember in the Ashes and all that jazz. Besides the point, I don't remember the last time I updated. I know I updated a little while ago about starting this. That was probably in June. Like I said, it's August 1st, so I have not gotten that far. I've read 3 short stories in this. Currently, I'm on Carswell's Guide to Being Lucky. I haven't started that one yet, but that's I think the 4th or 5th in here. I read a bit more of Stars Above. I read 2 of the short stories. So one was Thorn's short story, like about him being a kid. That one was like all right. Nothing bad, but it was just kind of, it was just more character growth, which I don't think we needed because we kind of already knew the kind of person Thorn was. So that one was fine. It wasn't bad by any means. I just like, again, I'm just not feeling the short stories because I don't feel like I need this additional information. I feel like we already know enough and this is just adding to it, and I don't think we need it. So I really don't think I'm going to rate this book because I don't think I could objectively rate it. Or even emotionally rate it. Whatever you would call that. But I don't think I'm going to rate it. Other short story I read was Cress's, about her like becoming, or not becoming, but her moving into the pod that like orbits in space so she can spy on Earth for Queen Lavanna. Jeez, I could not remember names. And like that one was fine. Again, it didn't add anything for me. Like, it was just kind of there. We already knew that that's how it happened, but in this, it gives you a bit more detail. It's like actually following her as like an 8 or 9-year-old when she goes to the pod, but realistically it didn't add anything for me. So I finally finished Stars Above, so I am officially done with the Lunar Chronicles series. I'll just do like a brief recap of this, but I want to go through every single book to kind of talk about my feelings. But this I enjoyed, like it was fine. It didn't do anything for me. I think I've said that several times. The short stories I didn't need in this world, so like I was indifferent. My favorite one was the one about winter. I'm not surprised by that, but yeah, all the others, they were fine. Nothing wrong with them. I just didn't need them, I guess. But let's just do a quick recap of all of them. I won't talk too much about Cinder and Scarlet since I didn't technically read those for this vlog. I didn't read them for this vlog, but Cinder I really enjoyed. I think I gave it a 4.5 stars. But I really loved this one. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely very unique, and I liked that despite it being a fairy tale retelling, it was never like a obvious retelling, I guess. Like, there were definitely moments where you're like, okay, stepsister, stepmom, yada yada, obviously. But I like that it was still very unique, and it was never like copy and paste of the original fairy tale. It was still its like own thing, which I really enjoyed. Next, I read Scarlet. I didn't read this one for the vlogs either, but I think I gave this one 4 stars. It was fine. I think this is my least favorite in the series. Scarlet, I think, is my least favorite character out of like the main characters, I guess. I don't know, her and Wolf just don't really do anything for me. They kind of bore me. And I mentioned this, I think, in like a previous clip when I was reading Winter, but with Scarlet, like, the way she talks, I understand, like, it's meant to be, you know, like, I guess, I wouldn't say sarcastic, but, like, kind of sarcastic with her friends, like, you know, kind of being mean and all of that. But to me, it never came off as, like, they're friends, they're chit-chatting and, like, being mean to each other in a funny way and, like, a friendship way. To me, it was always just her genuinely being mean to people. Like, sometimes it was her being like friendly mean, but most of the time I didn't like the way she talked with people. It was very, I didn't know another word. It was just mean to me. I just didn't like it. So she was just my least favorite character, and I think this one was my least favorite book. I think also too it might have been my least favorite because I was so in love with Cinder that jumping into this one after, I was like, I don't know. Just wasn't my fave. Next we have Cress, which is the 3rd book, and I think I gave this one 4 stars as well. I enjoyed this one, but I also felt like it was too long. It didn't need to be that long, but then also too, I really love the trope in books where like groups get separated. I really love that, but in this one, it just felt slightly redundant because in Scarlet, the group was, they weren't technically separated because they hadn't met up yet, but you knew they were going to join together, so you're like waiting for that moment. And so they're finally together, you know, at the end of Scarlet, and then this one, they are all spread out again. And I understand the purpose of it was so you could get to know Cress better and like build Cress and Thorn's relationship, but I didn't really care for it. I wish it had been done slightly different, I think. And I think, again, it was just too long. A lot of it was just, spoiler, Cress and Thorn like trekking through a desert, and I just honestly didn't give 2 shits. So, but it was still a really good book. I still enjoyed it. I still loved the story progression. That was just like my one qualm with it, I think. Next we have Fairest, which is the 3.5, yeah, 3.5 book in the series. But this is a Queen Lavanna short story. It's like 200 so pages, but I loved this. I gave this 5 stars. Like, if we're including the short stories in this, like, this is my favorite out of every single book. But something about this just was so well done. I love that there was never moments where you're meant to sympathize for Lavanna. Like, there's definitely moments where, like, wow, that's really sad, but it's never to, like, make the reader actually sympathize for her. It's to make the reader see that, like, yes, bad things have happened to her, but she's also still a bad person, and that doesn't, whatever the word, that doesn't disregard her poor behavior. Is that the word? I don't know what I'm trying to say, but, like, just because bad things happen to her doesn't mean that she is not a bad person. Like, those bad things, while they are bad, she could have moved on. Instead, she chose to like hold a grudge and like hold on to those awful things forever and just become a bad person. So I really, really liked that. Second to last, we have Winter, which is the 4th book in the series, and I really enjoyed Winter. It definitely, same with Cress, it had slow moments or moments where I was just like, okay, come on, get on with it. And I think one thing I've noticed with Marissa Meyer's writing is she covers spans of time, I guess, oddly to me, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, instead of maybe saying 2 months have gone by, she will describe what happens in those 2 months, which is not a bad thing. But I think for me, I just don't personally like it. I would rather have maybe like a page worth of 2 months went by, these few things happened, so on and so forth. Where I think with Marissa Meyer's writing, she actually likes to spend like a chapter or two on explaining what's been happening with the different characters throughout this time, which is fine. I think a lot of people probably would enjoy that, especially character-based readers, but for me, I'm much more of a plot reader, so for me, I don't really care what happened in that time if it's not significant, and usually it's not. It's about character growth or character progression. So while yes, that's important to the story, for me as a reader, it's not always my favorite. I feel like a lot of the times with series, I'm not satisfied with conclusions because I feel like it's either too neatly wrapped up or it doesn't make sense. And I don't know if that makes sense. With this one, it's like, I feel like everything that happened made sense. I don't think that the ending was something that didn't make sense at all. But I think part of it was too neatly wrapped up. Like, it was never like wrapped up in like a way that didn't make sense. It did make sense, and so like Cinder, you know, goes on to be the queen, but spoilers, she decides not to be. She wants to abstain, I guess you would say, abdicate, whatever the word is. But she like takes on the mantle for a time because she wants to mend the relationship with Earth and Luna. But she never wants to have the throne, which I think makes sense for her character. But I think it was like too quick of everyone accepting that, I guess. It was never a like, but we need a solid queen on the throne or whatnot. And then obviously like with Winter, she is, I guess, too crazy to be on the throne, if that's what you want to say. But she also doesn't want to do it either. She wants to like help the people, but not in that way. So I feel like there was maybe a different way to go about it. Like, it could still all happen the same way. The same finale could have happened, but I think for me, I didn't like the way it like transpired to get there. I wish it had been a bit, I guess, longer in them deciding these things and working to fix out Luna. And last but not least, we have Stars Above, which literally took me like 3 to 4 months to read. Because for like July, I didn't read anything. June, I think I finished Winter, I think in June, and May I barely read. So it took me a while to read this just because I was not reading, but I didn't rate this one. I decided not to rate it because I didn't know how to rate it, because if I were to base it off of my feelings, I think it would be a 3-star. But really, it's not a 3-star. It's well crafted, it's well done, the stories are good, they make sense, they flow well, like everything about it is technically good. So I feel like a 3 wouldn't have justified the actual content of the book. It was just the way I felt. So that's why I didn't want to rate it, because I think it is really well done. I just personally don't like the short story format. To me, it didn't add anything, because a lot of them are either backstories to certain characters or kind of side stories to characters, and then like the last short story in this is like, I guess you could say, a conclusion to Winter. Like, it adds on, like it's the last, like it's like the 2 years after Winter occurs or something like that. So those are all fine. They're all really well done, and if you really like characterization, that's the word, characterization in books, I would definitely recommend this so you can get to know more about the characters and about their, you know, their younger selves and like what they've been through before or during the books. But I think for me, I don't need that because I'm a plot reader. I'm super happy that I finished this series. Like, I feel like that was a really big accomplishment for me because I don't finish a lot of series. I forget to. But I really enjoyed this series. I would definitely recommend it to a lot of readers, especially if you are character-based readers. I feel like this series is more character-based than, I feel like it's a mix, but I feel like there's a lot of character moments. So if you're a character-based reader, I would definitely recommend the series if you haven't read it already. I know it's really popular, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to doing future videos like this where I'm actually finishing series because I need to do that. I am so bad at that, so let's hope I can read more series soon. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in another. Peace out.